Ales coming right up. Hello, and welcome to the BRB. Please, have a seat. You're just in time for Tavern chatter.
What is the point of concentration? Why do you feel like you don't need to concentrate on a spell?
It's lame, and I don't like having to track things. If I spend a resource on it, I should be able to use the rest of that resource.
But at the same time, you're trying to maintain that resource. You're trying to keep that spell going. You're channeling.
Yeah, but I already spent the effect. Like, I get it. It's sort of like a gamey thing to be like, all right, the wizard's casting a spell that's going to last 10 turns. Let's kick him in the face repeatedly till he stops. Like, but they're a limited resource. You can't knock the barbarian out of concentration without completely knocking him out, and even that time, sometimes it doesn't work.
So the way I've seen concentration, even from a gameplay standpoint, is number one, it extends your spell slot longevity. If you are using one spell slot to produce a continuous effect every turn, then you're not burning through them nearly as quickly. Most spell slots, or most concentration spells I've seen have sort of a greater effect. They're more profound impact on the battlefield than something that's instantaneous. So you want that to keep going, whether it's a continued debuff or it's something like Witch Bolt, where you do that d12 damage every turn or more at higher levels. It's rewarding you for maintaining a spell that normally would do, like, you'd pop it off and then you lose it. It's the big thing, though, I think, is the spell slot longevity, because if you're able to maintain concentration on one effect, you're not burning through those nearly as quickly, and you can just, minor things every turn.
That's kind of how I've seen it as well. It's just, you end up finding concentration spells that have a bigger effect, that are stronger, that are more impactful on the battlefield. And so you need some way of balancing that back out, and that's maintaining concentration and trying to stay out of the fray.
But often concentration spells just are not as powerful as one-off spells. Fireball versus Firewall. Like, Firewall does less damage over time. Will maybe do more damage over time, but Fireball does a lot more damage up front.
Looking at raw damage output, yes, you're correct. In that one instant that the spell is cast, it does do a lot more damage. But think of the tactical ability that Wall of Fire gives you. Like, that's constant damage that you can be doing throughout a fight. That's not just going to be one-off, and a huge spell slot at that point, and you can just hold a person behind a wall while they're constantly taking damage.
And that's why concentration's dumb, because you're investing that much, and you're using your spellcaster to do it.
I don't see concentration bad just because of the fact that, because it really doesn't do a whole lot negatively affect you. Like, you can still cast spells while you're concentrating, they just can't be another concentration spell. I feel like it's balanced. I do agree that sometimes it can be dumb, especially when you want to cast two of the same concentration spell. Like, you get excited about it, and then you're like, I can't cast this because it's a concentration spell and I already have one up. Yeah, I wish it'd be more fun, but the rules are there for a reason, and that's to keep it balanced.
And, on that topic, it might be fun to introduce, the DC scales up for every concentration spell you have active. So, you can have 1 or 2 or 3, but the DC for the concentration save just climbs with everyone that you have. The big thing, though, is the Fireball is more useful for instant combats where you can get it done and you can find some place to go that's safe, that you can rest. I would say with concentration spells, you're able to last longer in a dungeon. If you have, multiple fights back to back, if you have a prolonged fight, like a boss fight, you want those concentration spells to last you the whole fight. Otherwise, you're burning out what you have 5 turns in, and that's it.
So this is going to be really petty, but with the rising DCs for concentration spells, who's keeping track of that? You were the DM.
this is just an idea I had. I have not
No.
play tested nor balanced
That got me
this.
aggressive.
Let's just make your life even harder.
Yeah, DM here. Also, keep track of the multiple concentration spells that I'm casting throughout my turns, and keep track of their modified
Well, no, because the DM
DCs.
keeps
throughout.
track of what damage you are taking. You determine your DC by that.
So you're going to keep track.
So in theory, you would take care of it. If you want to bullshit it and you want to lie about like how many spells you have going, that sucks. But that's also just on you. If that's how you want to play the game, there are also other players at the table that can try and hold you accountable for that.
See, I think they have a pretty good checks and balance already. I wouldn't want to tamper with that. I actually feel that that is a very fair ruling.
And I don't even want to cast multiple per turn. It's just annoying to me that I can get them for one turn.
Yeah.
Like, you ought, and it's fair, you make yourself a target after that. It's just annoying to me that that's a mechanic that's built in.
I would agree with you, Beck. I do think it's kind of a lame concept, and honestly, as a DM, having to keep track of concentration spells also sucks. But, I mean, other than the fact that I think it's a good rule system, I do agree with you. I wish we didn't have to use it.
To be fair, there's also feats that can help make that concentration easier to maintain, like Warcaster.
Yeah.
Then you're just investing more stuff into it.
Matthew Mercer also has a homebrew one from his book that he released. That is a feat that you can take that allows you to maintain 2 concentration spells.
That just means you're tracking more things, and then if you get hit, who knows what you have to roll at that point.
There's also
Yeah.
magical items that allow you to do the exact same as well. And I think those are actually base game.
I don't recall.
I'd have to look.
Have you guys ever played the Fate system?
You've told me about it, and I'm
So,
dying to play
The
it.
interesting thing about it is you almost create a situation, and your partners at the table can feed off it and trigger it. I almost kind of wish it was built that way. So, with the Wall of Fire example, you create the situation of now there is a Wall of Fire on the battlefield. It has 3 charges in it. On your player's turn, they can add an extra die if they're saying, hey, I'm going to throw this guy into the Ball of Fire. And so that gets rid of one of its charges. I almost wish concentration spells were more like that. And so even with like healing, I have 5 charges of this healing. Somebody on their turn can invoke it to use it on the battlefield.
I guess that kind of makes sense, where instead of a check every time you take damage to keep something maintained, it has essentially a set number of uses or triggers when you cast it. I can see that working pretty well.
I think in a different system, yeah, I think it'd be really interesting to see that.
But then you'd have something like, what is it, Beacon of Hope, that would also suffer from the same thing. Is Beacon of Hope concentration?
Yes.
It would suffer from the same thing where you would get, 5 max heals
You get a
for its
finite
duration,
amount.
and that's it. So it limits their longevity potential, but it does make them easier for burst damage or utility.
A lot of the spells, like their actual explanation of what the spell does and everything, could be just better written to make the concentration seem more viable. Like it makes more sense. Like there's a large part of the time that concentration spells, the way they're written out, just seem strange or kind of back end, or you have to do some crazy thing to make it work. That also could make concentration spells suck. It's because they're usually long, boring descriptions that usually don't help too much, and there's usually a discussion at the table can I use this to do that? I don't know. Now I'm angry about concentration spells.
And that's closing, folks. Give us time to clean things up. We'll be open again soon. As you leave, take a couple seconds to press the like and subscribe buttons by the door. Make sure you ring the bell on the way out. Until we open our doors again, check out other locations. Maps to those are in the description below. Drop a letter in the comment box outside if you have any suggestions, questions, or just want to say, hey, you guys are doing great.